Welcome to Simple Menudo. These are just pretty much all the ingredients you'll need, including the big pot. As you can see, we have beef tripe, beef feet, garlic, onion, cilantro, hominy, and red chili. And the reason why I call it simple is because we're not going to go and grind our own chili. We're not going to buy the nixtamal and get that. We're going to have the prepared hominy, and a pretty simple dish to make overall. Okay, the first thing we need to do, obviously, is make sure you wash your hands and whatnot. A lot of discussion has gone into how to clean the tripe, what to do with it, different methods. I find the way I was taught by my uncle is one method too is cutting it. But as far as cleaning it, we'll go into that in a few minutes. But cutting it, some people prefer to wash it before they actually go to cook it, which I'm going to wash it, but I'm going to wash it after it's cut. If you notice, this here's a pretty clean cut of tripe. There's really not much fat on the back here. You'll find some of these that have a lot of this area that's just completely covered with fat. So the butcher's done a good job cleaning this stuff up. Actually, I'm looking at, we've got probably close to 5 pounds of tripe here. One of the things my uncle taught me was making it simple is just roll this stuff up the best you can. Cut it this way, and we're going to end up with some strips right now. Now, the reason I'm rolling it is because if you just try to dice this stuff up into little squares, you're going to be with it all day. And notice I'm not cutting it real thin. I'm cutting it fairly wide. This stuff does shrink on you, and you'll find that when you start cutting it into squares, you want to cut them decent size. The actual, probably from this size to this size, this will be the actual, this will probably be the cook. So keep that in mind. Pretty much just a simple process. We're just going to cut it all up right now. I'm going to put it in this pot, and then after we do that, we're going to go ahead and wash it up, and I'll show you that process. Okay, here's probably, this is about what I ended up with in the pot. You can see it's an awful big pot, but that's probably close to 5 pounds of tripe right there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it in the kitchen, put it in the sink. I'm going to use a colander and I'm going to wash it. And it just pretty much keep washing it and rinsing it, washing it, rinsing it. Okay, basically I'm going to take this pot, we're going to wash this tripe, and fill it up, start adding water to it. Sometimes you could use maybe a little bit of warm water, but that's about it. Warm water tends to loosen some of if there's a lot of fat on it, tends to loosen it up. But basically, the process of washing, I've got a colander in here, and rinsing. I'll add a little more water here. Add this tripe back in. We'll do this 3 or 4 times. Get the tripe nice and clean. It just tends to remove any of that odor. Okay, tripe's all clean. Probably wondered what I did with that beef foot that you see there. Commonly called a pata. I'm not sure if you could get this at Vaughn's or one of your local supermarkets, but I'm not going to use this whole thing. I'm not making enough Menudo. But if you notice, this thing's been sectioned by the butcher. I'm just rinsing it off. I'm probably going to. I particularly don't like to use this part right here. That's just my preference. I'll use mainly I guess it'd be called the shank or the leg portion. I guess the part that hits the ground is something that I just prefer not to put in there. Okay, back again. Now we're going to go on to the garlic. I'm going to probably use this whole clove of garlic that I have here. You could probably, if you didn't want to use fresh garlic, they have the garlic that's already, I guess, been cloved and peeled. I personally think that it tends to lack some, I guess it'd be flavor. Simplest method for me to take care of this garlic is basically give it a whack, and that's it. And we'll go through that here. Get these all done, and then we've got the onion too. But obviously, there's nothing really special we're doing with the garlic. We're not going to roast it. All we want to do right now is get this stuff peeled and chopped up and into the pot. So that's kind of where we're at now. Get the garlic peel, I guess is what you would call it, or the husk, or something of that nature, skin off of the garlic, and then we'll move from there. We'll do the onions, which is pretty simple. I mean, like I say, this is just a simple menudo dish. Nothing fancy. The recipe, like I say earlier, came from my aunt and uncle. Just a little insight on it. When I was probably a teenager, before I had this big belly here, they used to make menudo, and as I got older, I never got any. And I finally asked them, I said, how do you make it? And they said, or I asked them for the recipe, and they said, well, there is no recipe, but we'll show you how. So I was showing how, and I guess now with the advantage of the internet, and I think it's just might be picked early. I couldn't tell you, but off that goes into the pot. We will grab our onion. You could probably use a white onion. I was just taught to use a brown onion, probably because at the time they were cheaper. I think they're called Spanish onions. I could be wrong, but they're kind of a staple. I prefer white onions to most of everything else that I use, but in this dish we're going to use the brown onion. I'm only putting one onion in, so kind of see how I cut that, and off it goes into the pot. Okay, so here's what we have. We've got onion, tripe, garlic, and the pata, or the beef foot. So what I'm going to do now is add some water to this. There we go. Probably about half this pot. Get around here, turn the fire on, and then we'll go on to the next step. What we've got going here, if you still notice, I have no chili in there, I have no corn, I only have the tripe, the pata, the onions, and the garlic. I haven't added any seasoning, any salt, or anything like that. We'll do that later. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and cover this thing up, and we're going to let it cook for a couple hours. So I guess it would be a good time to possibly have one of these.